Hey y'all, I'm Heather and welcome to my channel, The Debt-Free Quilter. I have made about 1,000,000 units for this quilt, and I am, by and large, far beyond ready to start putting it together. So, let's get started. To begin, I am going to lay out the first diagonal row and the corner piece and one sashing strip just to show you what order we're going to go in. A lot of people will probably wait to put the corner on last. I'm actually going to put the corner on first. So the first thing I'm going to piece is going to be that sashing row strip right there. Let's speed this up a little bit. I am piecing the 1/2 9 patch and sashing strip units that I have pieced in previous episodes and then adding them directly to that corner unit like so. And I'm following that up by piecing the sashing strips that go in between the two large setting triangles and the main block for the first row. I am following directions and pressing everything toward those sashing strips. And now I'm going to add the corner unit to the row that I've just assembled. And now it's time to repeat that process with the next sashing strip that will be quite a bit longer than the previous one. Once I get them sewn in sets of 3 units, I take them off camera for a minute and trim them to make sure they're the same width. And now I'm going to pin them to my existing corner unit and sew that strip onto the body of the quilt. And now it is time to make more sashing strips that will go in between the main blocks and the large setting triangles to complete the next full row of the quilt. Now I have to make sure that all of these get in the right place, attached to the right block, so that everything goes in the order that it's supposed to. And as you can see here, I am trimming these to make sure they are the right size, as in the same size as the block where necessary. Then I go back to my large pressing board and use my pins, very liberally I might add, to make sure that everything is in the right place, there's no shifting, and everything is going to come out super nice at the end. And once again, I am pressing everything towards that sashing trying to make sure everything is nice and flat. And now I'm going back to repeat the process with the next sashing strip row. And I'm going to continue to repeat my steps and repeat this process until I get to the end of this quilt. At this time, please enjoy some quilting ASMR and pretty colors while we join the next few rows to make the bulk of this quilt top. And we're at the beginning of the end. We are doing now the last corner piece and then assemble the entire quilt top. Except for the borders, of course, because that would make this an hour-long video, and I don't think y'all want to really sit through that long. Now that I've got that corner assembled, I'm adding the previous rows that I've done a little at a time. Just, we're going to get it all done tonight. Now I'm taking the two rows from the opposite side of the quilt and putting them together, and then I'm just going to join it down the center. It's getting bigger and so pretty. Just look at how those colors pop against that black background. I could not ask for a prettier quilt. Another thing I'm doing when I'm joining all my rows together is back tacking at the beginning and the end of each row. That way it's really going to help it hold together. And one last thing to save my sanity later, let's add the first of several borders. And thanks to the efforts of Movie Magic, it looks like I'm going really fast putting this quilt top together. In reality, I'm actually going fairly slow due to all the bias in this quilt. So thank goodness for Movie Magic, am I right? One last press to get that border nice and flattened out, and we'll be ready for the next borders. All right, we have this whole quilt together. Built all the sashing, put all the rows together, completed the center of the top and the first border. I could stop. Realistically, I could stop right there and have a completed quilt top. Am I going to do that? No, I'm not. Because the larger size is more fun. So, next time, borders. But for tonight, this is where we're going to end. All the sashing, all the rows together. Ready for the rest of the borders. I put on that first border because of all the bias in those setting triangles. I knew going into completing the whole top that I would have to either put a stay stitch around the outside, a victory lap if you will, or go ahead and put on the first border. And by putting on the first border, it takes all the pressure off of the bias edges that are basically the entire outside of the center of that quilt top. So if you have a bias quilt top doing an on-point quilt, go ahead and put that first border on when you get to that point. It will save your sanity and it will save a lot of stress on your seams. that's going to be it for this video. Y'all have a great day. Have a great week. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.